Drops once again is the Chiefs' demise. Chiefs fall to the Eagles 21-17. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jay Sanders, and on today's show, well, it is a comedy of errors that once again subsequently leads to a Chiefs loss, which is funny because the stats, it should have been a Chiefs win. Jalen Hurts goes 14 for 22 for 150 yards and just the one interception. Does rush for 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, 12 carries, 76 yards, a touchdown. And then Devontae Smith, 6 receptions, 99 yards, whereas A.J. Brown was held really, really quiet. He only had 1 reception. Patrick Mahomes, 24 for 43. Lots of throws, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And then Pop, 19 carries, 89 yards, no touchdowns. Watson, 5 receptions, 53 yards. The leading receiver also had the most targets of anybody on the team. Let's start off this show with a who do you blame for this loss? There's one name that sticks out, and it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but is there someone else that maybe you're thinking of or maybe we're missed, that maybe he's the guy that probably should be blamed for this loss rather than MVS? Because honestly, maybe they just shouldn't have been in that situation where you had to have that catch to go and win the game. The wide receivers, though, well, it was pretty spread out, which is nice. 5 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown for Watson. 7 for 44 for Kelce. He did have a drop, but he made up for it the next play by catching what would have been a game-ending drop if he had dropped that one. It was 4th and 2. Ended up converting that one, which kept the drive alive. Ultimately, it didn't matter, though. 7 for 44 for a touchdown. And then Rashee Rice, 4 catches, 42 yards. It was kind of quietly 4 for 42, because catch here or catch there. It wasn't really too much from Rashee. Liked what I saw from the young buck out of SMU, but ultimately, you don't get the win. These stats really don't matter to anybody. Isiah Pacheco had a pretty good game. 19 carries, 89 yards, 24 for a long. This is what you expect from Pop pretty much game in, game out. He's not going to get you 100 every time, but he's going to be around that area. Had a couple of good long runs. Maybe 19 carries is around where I like him, I think. Maybe 20. I know it's 1 carry here, but I like to sit him around the 20 carry mark. If it's 18 one game, that's fine. If it's 22 one game, that's fine. Just kind of around that area would be where I'd like for Isiah Pacheco to sit. Obviously, he probably would have had more had this game gone the Chiefs' way. Would have ran out the clock a little more, but unfortunately, coming up late, you had to throw it. He wasn't really on the field. Patrick Mahomes, like I said, pretty good game. 24 for 43, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 1 interception, which you think back to it now, that was a huge interception. They were inside the red zone. If that ball is either thrown away, or you get a field goal at 3 points, and boom, you're down by 21-20, or if you just throw up a little bit more of a lob pass, it's a touchdown, Chiefs win this game. A lot of errors that I just kind of look at it, and it's like a play here, a play there. The Kelce fumble inside the Chiefs' territory would have led to a field goal. Overall, it's going to be a game just like the first game of the season where you look back on it and you think, man, how did we lose that? There was just an error after error after error. It's funny because this was the Eagles' Super Bowl, but at the same time, you have to look at this game from a wide perspective. It didn't really matter. You're still first in the AFC, even though you are tied now. You have a pretty easy schedule going as your 2 hard games past this one was the Bills and the Bengals. Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, and the Bills have looked pretty bad. So ultimately, you come out of here with these next 7 games. You go 6-1 at best, or at worst, 7-0 at best. I'd say that's pretty good. Make sure you're subscribed here on the Chiefs Support as we're trying to grow the Chiefs Kingdom. We got to 47,800 people on our watch party. Let's try and get to 48,000 in the next coming days. With Thanksgiving coming up, let's see if we can get a little Thanksgiving help and subscribe to the Chiefs Report today. We're putting out news, rumors, live shows, and watch parties like some of you are watching right now and some of you are a part of, but we have watch parties for every single Chiefs game, so make sure you join us for that. The Eagles offense. This stat line does not scream they won the game. 238, 4.4 yards per play. Obviously, the first half, it was a little worse for wear than this. 14 for 22, 124 yards. Rushing was 27 carries for 114 yards. A lot of that coming from DeAndre Swift. The 1 turnover, though. I think that's ultimately what may look back on is the Chiefs had 2 turnovers. Ultimately, when you turn the ball over more, that is really tough. Also, I talked about red zone percentage and how that would be key. Chiefs were in the red zone twice tonight and fumbled it and threw the interception both times. You can't do that against a team like the Eagles, who are now 8-1. Time of possession, pretty much even between the two. And Jalen Hurts, you held him to, honestly, a worst game of his career. I'm not talking about this year. This was one of his worst games of his entire career, and specifically this season. 150, 14 for 22. He ran for 2 touchdowns, yes. One of them was the tush push. That doesn't really count. And then the 1 interception. Listen, Jalen Hurts is good. He did not play well today. And you're going to look back on this game, like I said, and it's going to be a lot of times where should have done that right, should have done that right, should have stopped here, and ultimately you did not get it. Well, I'll tell you what, I mentioned the Chiefs have some games coming up. If you want to go to some of those games, make sure you go check out our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Game Time knows that you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event, and so you're going to get the peace of mind when buying tickets with the Game Time Best Price Guarantee, which will take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help save on money, and here's the best part. Their app is super user-friendly. They have pictures of your seats. They have user-friendly ways to pay. With Apple Pay now, you can pay within literally 1 click. Plus, it's obvious to see with last-minute ticket deals, flash deals, and zone deals that Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help you save on money. Plus, Game Time is going to help save on average 18% when you use their zone deals. Game Time is the one-stop shop, again, for sports, music, comedy, and theater. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account using code ChiefsChat for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChiefsChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHIEFSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price guarantee. Let's address the elephant in the room. Marquez Valdes-Scantling dropped what would have been a game-winning touchdown. 3 targets, no receptions, no yards, no touchdowns. I don't know what to do with this guy anymore. He has had drop after drop after drop. He has had a fumble. He has had just problems with every single time you're going with this, and it's getting annoying. Now, it's not just on MVS. This is where I have to take a step back and almost play devil's advocate. The Chiefs' offense in the second half, not good. 1 touchdown in the second half all year. Also, second half points per game, worst in the NFL. Past 2 games, no points. Playing the worst defense, one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Dolphins, and you're playing an Eagles defense whose secondary was ranked 26th. And you don't score any points whatsoever in the second half in either of those games. You can't do that. Listen, I believe this Chiefs team is able to go to the Super Bowl, but you cannot have these silly little mistakes. You cannot have these silly little problems that keep rising up. You cannot have where you're scoring 1 touchdown in the second half. It's not how it works. Here's the good news. I mentioned the upcoming schedule. The Chiefs have the Raiders next week. Do the Chiefs bounce back? The Raiders are on a little bit of a hot streak. Lost this week versus the Dolphins, but before that had won back-to-back games. Type Y for yes or type in for no. Will Kansas City bounce back versus the Raiders? We're going to leave you with that. This has been, honestly, a really tough show to record because this one hurts. It does. But at the same time, you have to take a step back. Ultimately, this game doesn't matter. You go forward. You do what you do the second half of the season. You still get the first seed in the AFC. Not to prey on other people's injuries, but Mark Andrews is hurt. Joe Burrow is hurt. Deshaun Watson's hurt. There's a lot of guys that kind of opened up the path. Hopefully, that path is secured by the Chiefs. We appreciate you watching as always. Chiefs Kingdom. Doesn't matter win or loss, but hit subscribe and peace out.